Looks like a peaceful morning in Harlem. Harlem itself used to have a very worse reputation for violence and crime, but the paranoia is currently sticking in the subways. Not so much in the Metro North, where I'm taking a ride to Poughkeepsie right now, actually. So we have my definition of nation taken from this Puerto Rico book by Nancy Morris. Well, you can go ahead and pause to read, but I don't know which way. Let's see, what page was it? 12 starts with? Okay, page 12. Physical books are good for the more immediate reference points if you want to have a quick discussion with anyone. People in my day and age are forgetting about this actually nowadays, because we like to go ahead and have direct search terms in ebooks now, which I don't blame them for, but still. I mean, I don't even blame myself for watching this. I like that too, but anyway. State is the least contested in terms of legal and political organization with the power to require obedience and loyalty from its citizens. The United States would be a country as a state in the concept of the borders, in which as soon as you go into Canada or want to go into Mexico, either or, a passport is necessary. That's how we operate anyway. But it's also very similar for most countries in the European Union, as far as I could say too. They call themselves states as well. I know that much. So, okay, yeah. Nation state might appear useful at this point. Nation state is a more accurate description. Nation and state, as defined here, may overlap partially, in which nation, like nationalism. The definition of nationalism is confused, and the word has applied to several linked phenomena. In everyday parlance, the word nationalism describes an emotional attachment to one's country. But the term nationalism also has a specialized meaning. It is a doctrine that holds the political organization of the world should be based on nations. Right now, Puerto Rico itself is a U.S. territory. Taiwan, China wants to hold on to Taiwan. We can consider Taiwan China's Puerto Rico at that point. The U.S. likes to go ahead and have its ideologies on hints of the Western entertainment that they've made from its own country nowadays, because the stereotype of entertainment capital of the world has become too ingrained in our common everyday culture. Before we come to remember standard practice of helping ourselves memorize every single fact on the spot as we start to have a conversation empirically, cordially with any such stranger. But it's the principle of Yeats over here, such as how low problem paraphrased a century later, but can't really blame low problem might have been a language barrier in the moment. Southeast Asia, that and a busy Southeast Asian life. But I do agree with the connotation Low Prof did imply. Everyone is a friend you haven't met. Although Yeats originally said, what is it? There are no strangers here, only friends you have not yet met. 1923, a Pulitzer Prize winning poet from Ireland. As it is, a good Spyro artist actually is from Ireland too, about Belfast actually. And you know, I go ahead and think about the movie of the same name right now, as it is. I think about Buddy from the movie and his father. The clip saying goodbye that is searchable on YouTube. Buddy's father just goes ahead and kneels down to him, basically saying it doesn't really matter the religion as long as she's kind. Economic turmoil period at the time. Disputes were focused between peoples of two different religions under the Christianity umbrella, Protestantism and Catholicism. After I watched that movie, I actually started considering myself a little bit more Protestant. But I still love to love people overall. I've always loved to love people. Never been belligerently violent in anyone in the physical world. The closest I have been was towards one who might have been under the influence of drugs. Had to push that guy because I felt unsafe in the moment. And it put me to shame that he's up the highest homeless racial statistic for basically the entire state of the United States as we live in right now. I mean, I'm always going to be here wondering if there's debt that each and every single one of these buildings rides on, as we are in a deep debt society right now. Who's going to live in those buildings when these yards are unable to work for the rest of the economy at that point? Because the hotels here in New York City, the abandoned ones, the out of commission ones, have started to be plentifully used as migrant shelters. All I can say for now is that we're in for something in the long run. We got to go ahead and remember to love each other, okay? Remember to go ahead and keep the connotation in mind of gay, not too dissimilar from Maria's in West Side Story, but I also mean the original film from 1961, and I have not seen the new film yet. And you know what? Homosexuality is in almost all animals, as it is too. But over here, if Nietzsche were Narwhal, the philosopher that's got some predictions of the future actually coming to start true. If you were to watch Moon's video enough about the current intellectual state of the United States, But yeah, I don't want to talk about war, I want to talk about homosexuality. People's sexual orientation is the largest determinant that both, but it's that is the norm with homosexuality for most animal species. Is what Justin Gregg, this scientist over here, even empirically it documented when it came down to observing the bits of Nietzsche's history. I would recommend this book, I guess, but you know what? In either which way, all of us do want friends. Well, here we're interested in hopes of sharing it with others. You know, why do we have to make enemies? Because you know what? I think all of us at some point want to have a guy who's going to smash our doors down at 3 a.m. with toilet paper and supper in their hands when they need someone to talk with, you know, talk to. We just need to remember that we need to talk with each other, talk to each other, and talk with, actually. No, with, right? We're amongst ourselves. Keep in mind, it's better to be non-violent if we can. You know, pause to read if you want. But, well, I think about most particularly the principles that I've highlighted over here too. Because I still think about a time that time the bar banned me because they never even sat down to have the conversation with me. All they did was just tell me, "You're not welcome here, get out." And it hurt me on the inside. I mean, you know what? Right over here, you gotta go ahead and think about moments like this. It's denial of responsibility over there. But you know what? Even with all this being said, to this point, sometimes it is also about the lack of knowing what words to say. Sometimes it also comes down to whether or not you're practicing speaking well enough. And most times that I've been at this one bar in Queens, Seneca Avenue, Putnam Avenue, Frida, that had been me, but it's also a byproduct of, one, my autism, two, being over-sheltered while my mother had been traumatized by living through the psychopathic era of the 1980s Bronx as a Latina, white Latina. And what is it? Well, she also picked me up during 9/11 when that happened. I was far enough away from the Twin Towers, but you know what? I think it scarred too many people for life, and you know what? That's why it's even mentioned in The Body Keeps the Score, because you know what? Trauma affects the whole body as well as the mind. But you know what? Sometimes you have to go ahead and have new experiences for yourselves, and people are forgetting how to do that outside of their phones or technology nowadays. I mean, it's not bad to do it through VR chat if you feel like you're not empirically going to have friendly, cordial conversations in the outside world often enough. But what happens if we live in a society that can only think to subsist because the society has infrastructure galore that is too poor, because, well, we do need more public transit. I mean, the congestion prices has been introduced, but my mother doesn't like it because her workplace is in the congestion pricing zone, unfortunately. This railroad over here, it's shared by Metro North and Amtrak, but Amtrak trains in particular are the only railroads that are nationwide at this point. Amtrak's. And you know, there used to be a lot more railroads here in the United States. I'm going to be entering through Yonkers soon. Yonkers itself used to have street trolleys, street cars. And you know, I would actually like the electric ones. That right there is electric, and that just passed by. Right over here, this is a diesel because you know what? Those Metro North trains that run on electric only really go to Croton Harmon on the Hudson line. In either which way, we need to remember. We all need to remember this sentiment. The realest thing my mom ever said was, when we avoid difficult conversations, we trade short-term discomfort for long-term dysfunction. And I think everyone needs to hear that. When it comes down to my parents' relationship, combined with both of them having lived through the 1980s psychopathic era of the Bronx, my father especially had to be the tough man because he also had a lot of abuse on him too. Physical abuse even. He had to kneel on mice for more than 20 minutes at times. I think at a point he ended up having to lay his back on the stairs. You know, I think it burned an angry passion in him against his father, and you know that's why he never really had a cordial conversation with his dying father when he was actually to die with the cancer that he was starting to have. So now my father will be left forever wondering if he ever does wonder as to what his own father would have said to him about any apologies, because you know what, the apologies were well given towards the rest of his siblings. His siblings accepted the empirical cordial warmth that their father wanted to go for in his dying breaths. And my father has 6 brothers and 1 sister. We have uncertainty within our own country's politics right now, our own state's politics. So this is why I believe that at this point, it's up to us again, we the people. But when you think about Twitter itself being the U.S. state in its foundation, the ideologies of the United States as a nation would have actually spread throughout the rest of the world at that point. So right now we live in a worldwide U.S. digital nation, World Wide Web. www before any web address used to be the norm. So now I'm actually kind of wondering who left here in Yonkers will go ahead and be able to take the time to learn. I mean, you know, I did grow up here. I find it the most humble ghetto borough of... Sorry. Well, people call it the borough, but I call it the most humble ghetto brain tumor of the Bronx, considering that it's not part of the Bronx, it's part of Westchester County. Here we go. That right there used to be a train yard. Now it's being used as a Lionsgate studio for the New York metropolitan area, if not just Yonkers itself. I would love to live in this city again, you know. But how would I spend my time? How would I raise my own children? Granted, I don't even want to birth a child or help birth a child. I would rather adopt one at this point, kind of make it a Senku situation. Senku from Dr. Stone. Hope you guys are doing okay, alright? There was something else I would have wanted to say, but, well, okay, I'll end off on this much, okay? See this factory at the Glenwood station? You'll see some good graffiti if you go into that abandoned factory. We're living in a digital creation space underground age now, after we had lived through the dawn of the social internet. Now it's about universal desired acceptance. So how do we go about it? It's up for each of us to decide, but as long as we remember to start talking with each other again, we'll get there. My Spyro OC says, everywhere and everything in our world is ours for all of the hours. Lest we forget this broken soul. I paraphrased my own quote, but it's on. You'll be able to find it if you go ahead and think about the hashtags that I just implied, right? If you can't speak good, be careful, okay? But only simply being nice with any expectation of something in return, that's the fallacy that a lot of us currently live in now, without realizing. But, well, learning to learn. Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up. Learning to Learn 2nd edition. Marlowe, I believe. If you guys can, while the Internet Archive is still up and running, you should try to go ahead and purchase this book. Visit every web address in this book. And then download the web pages. Chrome. Okay? We got this, alright? We can do it.